We are live.
Live Senate Appropriations, March 20th, am I right? Yeah, March 20th. We are going through bills, the last day of crossover. We have to get all these bills out or they die. So the first bill we're going to try to prevent from dying is 325. We have the Ledge Council with us today. I'll let you introduce yourself. You already went through the bill. So you have an amendment? We do have to.
Yes, Ellen Tchaikovsky, Office of Legislative Counsel. So yes, I did prepare an amendment for the committee. It's draft 1.1 dated March 17th, which feels like I don't think I drafted it that long ago. It is just removing the appropriations section. So all it does is strike out section 19, appropriations, and then renumbers the rest of the bill. The two appropriations that were in this bill were not specifically connected to the underlying other parts of the program. So I didn't think you needed any contingent language, just striking the appropriations and then moving on.
But the bill is written just with the appropriations in that one section.
Yep, none of the policies contingent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, Blake, what's the bill do?
It's the Act 250 bill.
We already
It's
went.
the Act 250 though.
Or the Act 181 bill.
Oh, sure. It is, yeah.
Both.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to move the bill favorably with this amendment.
So moved.
So moved.
So what are we doing, striking out the appropriations?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This is just a vote to strike out the appropriations.
This is not, we're not gonna do two votes, so this will be a vote to amend it and pass it favorably. If you'd like to have two votes, we can.
No.
Okay.
So we're voting on just striking out the amount, the appropriations.
Correct.
Striking out the appropriations
And move the bill.
and move the bill. Out of committee, you could vote no on the floor.
Oh,
Do whatever
okay.
you want.
Okay, that's, yeah,
Yeah, but the jurisdiction of the appropriations committee, we're removing the appropriations. We're not making a comment on the underlying
correct.
value of land or.
All right, date 20th?
Being a comfort. 20th. You could vote yes with explanation and explain. Holding.
And only we
I'm
know.
just trying to get out of here, but I appreciate it.
Okay, all set. Senator Baruth, Senator Brennan, yes. Senator Lyons, Senator Norris.
Yep.
Senator Watson.
Yep.
Senator Westman.
Yep.
Senator Birchlick.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's gonna report it, Senator Watson?
What? Me? No way.
I almost had to fight, but I want to feel like to sit.
I know you wanted to do it.
You have to sit down and then stand right.
Yeah, right.
I assume you're recording.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. You want these back?
Thank you.
We're gonna do quick work on S64. Are you here to tell us about the problem with this? Is there a fiscal note for that?
Yeah.
Did you do one?
Yes, I did. I can sit in the chair and
Yeah.
tell you very high level. Great.
Which we have. People wanted to see. We have a letter from, which maybe you're going to mention, a letter from Secretary of State's office clarifying that they do not need money for this bill.
Would you like Jen to go first, or?
No, I don't do
Scott Burnett, Joint Fiscal Office. You have the fiscal note for S64. It will be one of the shorter runs I write all year.
Here's the fiscal.
There is, right, so it would expand the scope of optometrists to provide advanced procedures, including certain surgical laser injection procedures, procedures that currently are required to be performed by ophthalmologists. And so this would create a specialty, so there's an existing specialty license in statute. It would create an advanced therapeutic procedure specialty for optometrists. They would, in order to gain this specialty, pay a $100 fee the first time when they gain the specialty. It's not a license that renews. And so OPR estimates that there are about 50 optometrists based on information from other states, and we took a look. It's the same way we would estimate this. So about 50 professionals would adopt the specialty, so minimal revenue in fiscal year 27, and then $100 here and there when new optometrists take advantage of the specialty. And yes, the letter from OPR, I would have said roughly the same thing. So a little bit of context within the professional regulatory fee fund. If the profession has a board, which optometrists do, fees paid as a part, so resources and fees that are paid into the professional regulatory fee fund by optometrists have to be used to regulate the optometry profession. That has to stay within the board. And this is different from advisor professions, which are able to pool resources, but OPR indicates that there are enough resources within that board of optometry, enough fee revenue generated, to cover the regulation of this expanded scope.
So there's no renewal fees, it's just a one-time fee?
It's a one-time fee. OPR did testify in Senate Finance that that may be something they revisit. But this was, I think, enacted last year, the specialty, and there are specialties in other professions.
The
So they're
medical
all
board,
developed.
does the medical board have?
The medical board is within the Department of Health, and so it's
And
a
they-
separate.
They also have jurisdiction, I assume, over ophthalmologists.
Jen Kirby, Legislative Council, yes, ophthalmologists, depending on whether they are an MD regulated by the Board of Medical Practice or a doctor of osteopathy regulated by the Office of Professional
okay.
Regulation, they could fall into either.
And there's the fee structure, they're very different and all that. But we don't need to get into that, but there's different, because you're paying, the medical board collects their own fees, I assume. Or,
Yeah.
Yes, there's a whole other, universe that's
We won't
separate
go
to
into
this. Yep. So it's the $100 specialty fee, so it's not referred to in the bill, but because it's a specialty that they create, or it's a specialty that, yes, it is, it's already in existence.
are there other specialties now under ophthalmology license?
Not under
But other,
yes, optometry, there are no specialties for them, but other professions have a specialty, yeah.
and then it's up to OPR to decide the regulations of that specialty license? Like the requirements?
Pretty specific in the bill.
Yeah, right, that's what they're doing. That's what the bill is.
Yeah, that's what the bill is, it's create the specialty.
Right. Okay. Any questions about the fiscal impact? And do people want to hear a run through of the bill? I think it's pretty clear, and you probably received a lot of emails. And it's also a bill that was introduced last year, and I think it's been introduced other
For
years.
20 years.
Yeah. It seems like it's been several times in the 8 years I've been here. I've talked to my constituents on both sides of the issue. So if people do not think we need a walkthrough from Ledge Council, I would entertain a motion to move the bill without any amendment, just move the bill favorably.
So moved.
So moved.
Senator Baruch, Senator Brennan, yes. Senator Lyons, Senator Norris,
Yes.
Senator Watson,
Yes.
Senator Westman,
Yes.
Senator Perchlik.
Yes.
Reporter.
Could be Senator Lyons. Yeah, I think, did you say that she wanted to do it?
I think you
I
said,
want to do one of them.
She did not.
She did not vote for the
Oh,
bill.
she didn't vote for it. Okay.
that's why you ready to go.
Oh, that's tough.
I'll report it.
Okay, thank you, Senator Myers.
I'm just recording as
Yeah,
a
just-
minutes of my
right.
fact.
Just that
Yes.
we passed it out.
There is
You get to
There
use
is
your
nothing.
favorite word.
De minimis, there is no fact. It's not even
It's not even de minimis.
Just get up and say de minimis and sit down.
Going to practice? The senior center from Grand Island. Okay.
Okay. 323.
I think we're gonna see it. Sign it.
Is our
You're
next
gonna break something
bill.
down.
Alan,
Hopefully Bradley is running down the hall as we speak. He did prepare an amendment for you that's on your website today.
yes, I have an amendment here.
So I'll stall for a moment.
Did we,
You did hear
this is
about
when
the bill.
he was here,
Yes.
Dr. Bill, and he had you here for.
And Kirk, yes,
support.
Kirk and I were here.
Yeah, you had the whole bench.
We're gonna vote to, do the amendment.
Here's the amendment.
You don't like the amendment.
I've seen it.
You don't like the amendment? 323, here's another one.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, join us. So welcome.
Thank you.
If we are talking about S323, do you want to say anything about the amendment you prepared?
Just the amendment says what it says. It strikes sections 24 and 25, the large farm and medium farm permitting provisions in S323.
And then there, that's also the section that says that the general fund would backfill the losses.
Those sections do not direct the general fund to do that.
We
That
just
is
assume it would happen.
that's a separate request in the general fund budget, I believe.
Okay. Oh, right, because that's in the ag
That's
budget,
correct.
the governor's budget does that.
Yeah.
So we would want to adjust that. If the fees remain to be, we keep the fees in, we keep the fees in, we'd want to take that extra appropriation to AAFM out. I would say, we wouldn't want to give them money they don't need. Any comments, questions?
But we're striking the fees.
We're striking the fees.
No,
Or we're striking the
striking the
section.
striking of the
Language.
fees.
We're striking the
You're bringing the
Striking
fees
the
back.
striking.
Right. We're keeping the fees as they are
Yes.
instead of reducing them to zero. The fees as they are today, which are like $2,000 and $1,000.
$2,500 for large farm, $1,500 for medium farm.
Yeah, so those, the bill goes zero, we're gonna keep them at 2,500. This amendment keeps them at where they are, 2,500 and 1,500.
That's right.
And then in the budget, if they keep the fees, we would reduce AAFM's budget by that $230,000 if they'll get the fees. Or in the budget or otherwise in another bill, those fees would be reduced to zero, and then we'd have to make sure that $230,000 stays in the ag's budget.
Well, unless we cut the number of grants going out. This goes
All the
into the
water
special
fund, right.
fund that, and there are about
Right.
9 different grants that, there's a whole
Clean
bunch
water.
of grants within this area.
Right, so it's not really, the money is all put into the clean water fund and these fees. So it's not their use for the administration of the large farm program, but a lot of their regulation is about clean water.
That is correct, though. Yes, yes.
Okay. Got that straight, Senator?
Not at all. Go ahead. I know it's a moving target at this point, so.
Yeah. And like all the things that we're cutting, our trustee JFO has a list of all the things that we're doing. So basically what we will be doing next week is starting to look at that list. And saying, here's the bill that the House has passed, here's all the things that we cut, here are the things that we might want to add. How are we going to prioritize that with the money we have?
Sorry, this is a slightly different topic, but on that question, I'm anticipating having a letter come from Natural Resources. When would those letters to the Appropriations Committee be useful? Or do we know yet, if we don't know this?
Well, sooner is better than later.
Okay.
But I would assume that they wouldn't be any earlier than when the House passes their budget, because
Okay.
it's helpful to
We'll
know
see
what's
what they're-
in there, and then you kind of looked at what's made crossover
Mm-hmm.
and had other information. So I'd figure in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I was gonna hopefully maybe even send out some direction of saying, I already got a letter from Ag, for example.
Oh, you did?
But to kind of describe what would be the most helpful. Because if the committees could prioritize,
Mm-hmm.
like economic development had a whole bunch, they just said, here's all of our things that we want, and the different bills they sent over. I said, well, could you prioritize them? And at first it was like, no, they're just,
Just all of them.
and they want to prioritize in each bill, but it really has to be a master list of prioritization
Mm-hmm.
of everything, of all bills. The universe of possibilities need to be prioritized. You could put it into a box. What was that box chart you mentioned? Box dot chart?
Oh, a box plot.
Box plot.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, I will entertain a motion to amend 323 and pass favorably. The full
So moved.
Senate. So moved by Senator Watson.
Okay. Senator Baruch. Senator Brennan, yes. Senator Lyons, Senator Norris.
Yes.
Senator Watson.
Yes.
Senator Westman.
Yes.
Senator Birchlet.
Yes.
Who's gonna report?
Unless he wants to do it, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Oh, you're gonna do it?
I can do it.
Okay.
Sure.
Sure.
Right, yeah. Yeah, no, important program.
So, yes.
Okay,
Did you get?
next we're gonna talk about F-190.
Thank you.
Before I leave that,
Thank you.
I may just, if I'm gonna report it, I may just want to check in with you to make sure that I understand
What we're doing.
what we're doing and so like how to best explain it. I think I get it, but details.
Did you still need me here?
Here you go, Brennan. S-190 fiscal note.
This one? Yeah. Yep, thank you.
Okay, we have an amendment to S-190. Here's the S-190 amendment.
Yep.
And you, Counselor, yesterday you gave us the rundown of the bill. Do you want to say anything about the amendment you drafted?
Sure. Again, Jen Kirby, Office of Legislative Counsel. So the fiscal impact in this bill was the $50,000 appropriated to the treasurer's office to potentially pay for consultants for the Public Employee Health Benefit Authority Study Committee. And so
That's the one that they would look at blending the teachers and the state
teachers and the
employees.
state employees and the college and public college and university and the municipal employees.
Right.
Right. And so this amendment from this committee would just strike out, it would put in, would strike out the appropriation in subsection I, and it would add in language where it authorizes the hiring of consultants. It would say, to the extent funds are made available for this purpose.
So can you go to I?
So, and then I is, so
Okay, you don't have the.
I didn't show it. I mean, I can put that.
What is?
I have it ready to put up as well.
I could bring it up too, but just to remember what I is.
Yes, so I is the $50,000
Oh, okay.
to the treasurer for the consultants. So this would now allow in the language that said, study committee, may engage the services of one or more consultants or firms to assist with facilitating meetings and public hearings and preparing its report. This would add to the extent funds are made available for that purpose.
Okay, and then strike out
And then strike out I, the appropriation in its entirety.
and that $50,000 will be added to the list.
I think there's a scrivener's error of missing period, maybe, at the very end,
No, because it's just saying that you,
In its entirety, you mean?
in its entirety.
I don't believe that is
Okay.
our style,
Okay, no, that's fine. I'm happy to be
because
wrong.
it is all sort of one thought.
Cool, super.
And then there had been, I think, some concern about, work still ongoing or discussions down the hall with hospitals and the Green Mountain Care Board, and I think that has been satisfactorily resolved with an amendment to be forthcoming from the 5 members of the Health and Welfare Committee, the testimony.
Yes.
Given that, they, seem to have come to an agreement on that, I'll move it with the amendment.
Okay. Senator Westman has moved the bill with the amendment. Are there any comments, questions about Westman's motion? If not, clerk can call the roll.
Senator Baruch, Senator Brennan, yes. Senator Lyons voted yesterday, yes. Senator Norris? Yes. Senator Watson?
Yes.
Senator Westman?
Yep.
Senator Perchlik?
Yes.
You're late.
They're ahead of schedule.
Over.
He's early, but you're
Yeah.
very.
We're
He's late.
He'll try, she tried.
thanks.
So
It
we
was,
voted
it
that, and
was,
then taking up the published.
Oh, okay.
She reported, you think?
she did say she wanted to report.
Yeah, I thought so.
He's got it on the list. He's got it on the money list. I'm 142, I'm 198.
Yeah,
And
so,
we'll
what,
read it
To you.
Doesn't matter what
Just
time
me
it
when
No,
you get it.
Yeah,
can we
You
do
can
this,
print it and drop
all
it.
of
Okay,
these
I'm gonna
in
do that
the
right
next 3 minutes?
maybe not 3 minutes, but because we haven't heard, the other bills we had heard, these
Yeah.
2 bills we have not heard. So I'd like a quick run through. And 142, we do have an amendment, do we not? Or do we, or
I
we didn't
don't
need
believe we
one?
do. I don't
We
think
didn't
there's
need-
a cost at this time.
Here is the fiscal note for 142. So if you want to give us a quick run through.
Great. Yes, this one actually has two pieces because it is not a strike all. Let me just pull up the bill as introduced.
This is the bill we just got today.
Okay, so this is, put it up on the screen, S-142, and then Health and Welfare has an amendment, but it is not a strike all. So the bill as introduced, I think Senator Lyons maybe gave you a description yesterday, but it creates what's called a pathway to licensure for internationally trained physicians and medical graduates. The idea here being that somebody who has received a medical degree in another country would work with a participating healthcare facility, which is a hospital, a federally qualified health center, or community center that has the capacity to, a community health center that has the capacity to evaluate them and kind of train them on U.S. medicine to the extent that's different. That person could receive a provisional license to practice with supervision by one or more physicians at the participating healthcare facility. This would be issued by the Board of Medical Practice. There's certain criteria that the person has to meet around training, experience, examinations, and not have any disqualifying criteria. And so they would have a provisional license for 2 years, and which would only allow them to practice at that participating healthcare facility with supervision. And then after 2 years, they could apply for a limited license to practice medicine, as long as they were going to be working, had an offer of employment. And then after 2 years with a limited license, they could apply for a full unrestricted license. So the pathway is 2 years of provisional license, 2 years of limited license, and then full licensure, assuming they hit all the milestones along the way. Again, the 2 year limited license, and then there's a bunch of data collection and reporting to be done by the Board of Medical Practice, talking about the inquiries that they're getting and applicants for provisional and limited licensure, where these folks are coming from as far as their country of origin and licensing country and country of training, how many provisional licenses, limited licenses were issued or refused, and if they're refused, why, how many people successfully completed the whole pathway process, where these people are working once they're in their provisional and limited licensure, and once they're fully licensed, just get a sense of how that is all rolled out. So that would be an annual report every April, and then the Board of Medical Practice through the Department of Health is directed to adopt rules to implement the pathway to licensure. And then we get to the Senate Health and Welfare Committee's amendment. The Board of Medical Practice.
Before you get to that, yeah. So does it not start till after when does it start that they can apply for the?
Well, it's going to change in so under the bill as introduced, which was introduced last year, it was going to be July 1st, 2026. So Health and Welfare amended it. But as part of the Health and Welfare amendment as well, the Board of Medical Practice was not super keen on the proposal in the bill. Quick. And so they wanted to come up with maybe an alternative pathway to licensure. And so that is what the Senate Health and Welfare Committee amendment would do. It keeps everything in the bill as introduced. It keeps that whole pathway, but then it directs and so under this amendment, the people could start, the program would start in July of 2028 with rulemaking starting in July of 2027. You'll see that in the effective date section. And so in the meantime, by January of 2027, the Department of Health, in collaboration with the Board of Medical Practice, would come back with a report detailing an alternative pathway to licensure that's different from the one that is in the bill, talking about what other states' processes are for licensing internationally trained physicians and medical graduates, and any outcomes data, description of external resources needed to evaluate the education experience and exams of the internationally trained physicians and their availability, and a proposal including potential qualifications and supervision requirements, summary of additional resources and statutory authority needed, and a plan and timeline for implementation, and anything else. Directs the Department of Health to consult with other states and various other parties. And so then, as I said, this would then have the actual international, the pathway to licensure piece take effect July 1st, 2028, rulemaking 2027, and then the directive to the Department of Health to go come up with their own proposal would take effect on passage.
Was there any questions about what the bill does? We do have a fiscal note for S-142 done by Mr. Langwell. Do you want to say anything about?
This one?
Sure.
Oh, no, this one is you or this one's Ted?
So this
It
is,
says
Oh,
no
sorry.
name
Oh,
on it.
Ted's
This is
name.
the other one.
Sorry.
sure, I'll stay right here. For the record, Nolan Langwell, the Joint Fiscal Office. So to start a program does cost money. And while Bill puts it in motion to do it, it also, there's a study. We don't know what it will cost because there's different programs across the country, which is why they're having to look at them. For instance, I think it was Iowa and Colorado, they each hired consultants, and one was 150,000, and one was 750,000. Obviously, it depends on how many potential people they think are going to be in the program. You also will need the medical board would also need to hire 1 to 3 staff. So, and that's about 150,000 per person. So there are costs associated with it. We don't actually know what the costs will be. This since doesn't start until 28, you don't need to appropriate any money. But by passing the bill, you're sort of committing to a future appropriation of which the amount will be presented to you through the study.
Right. We could decide it's too expensive to do.
You could, yeah.
Okay.
You could decide you can't afford not to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
but there's no
Probably more
appropriation
likely.
required now.
Okay. Thank you.
Get rid of traveling nurses. Wouldn't take too many.
The last thing I would also want to mention is the medical board's completely funded by fees. It's estimated that there wouldn't be enough people in this program to support it by fees alone,
Especially at the beginning.
especially in the beginning. So there would likely need to be an appropriation. So
Just to get it going. Kind of like we do with OPR.
Yeah.
Pay to get it going.
correct.
Okay, any other comments, questions?
I'll move the thing is amended.
The thing has been moved by the senator from Lamoille.
We're down to us chickens here now.
Yeah, we have a farm.
Stick around.
Yeah, nobody can leave.
Nobody move.
Senator Baruch. Senator Brennan, yes. Senator Lyons. Senator Norris, is he coming back?
I think he's just making a call.
Senator Watson?
Yes.
Okay. Senator Westman?
Yep.
Senator Perchlik?
Yes.
I'll wait a minute for him,
Yeah, we can leave it open.
just a little bit. How about a reporter?
Did Senator Lyons vote for this bill?
Yes, she did.
So we can have Lyons report.
Okay.
If you aren't here.
You're not here, you're the reporter.
It's another.
Okay. We are making good time. So now we're gonna move to S-198, affectionately known as the tobacco bill.
Yes, so we have S-198. I think what's on your webpage is the finance report, but that's just, they only did a few instances of amendments. I'm actually gonna show you the Economic Development Committee's strike all amendment. And
What did you say finance did?
finance made a few changes to licensing fees.
Okay, just
And
the dollar.
penalties.
Oh, right. They, instead of the very high fees, they lowered them to lower.
Yes. And there's also discussion in the Economic Development Committee about a potential additional amendment as well. All right, so we are looking at S198 as recommended by Economic Development. You have to tell me how much detail you want. I'll give you the big picture, I can give you a smaller picture.
I mean, I guess go section on section, but not details,
Okay,
because it's not that big of a bill.
well, it's 23 pages.
Oh, it is.
So the first section amends the chapter on tobacco products, 7 VSA chapter 40. It makes some changes in definitions, including the definition of tobacco substitute, which is our statute speak for electronic cigarettes, but also includes other vape products and nicotine. Through this, more explicitly, nicotine products, including nicotine pouches. This bill moves the responsibility for licensing wholesale tobacco dealers from the tax department to the Department of Liquor and Lottery. So there's a bunch of underlying language that is not necessarily new statute, but new to Title VII. Is getting repealed in Title 32 and enacted in Title VII. So there's several definitions involving wholesale dealers that are taken from Title 32. There's some changes in the section on retail licensure, including decoupling the liquor and tobacco licenses, and some increases to fees. So these are fees that in the bill as came out of economic development would go from $110 for a license, a tobacco license, a retailer license, to $1,000, and for a tobacco substitute endorsement from $50 to $1,000. The Finance Committee amendment reduces those to be $150 for a tobacco license and $75 for an endorsement.
Do you want me to say that? Yeah. Okay.
Do you want me to keep going, or do you want me to pause for a minute?
Maybe pause. Should I put her name?
You just say who assigned it. I can work with the rule and assign that.
So not 142?
I want to make sure people vote for those that are reporting.
Ooh.
Means you're getting stuck with a lot today.
I suppose the proxy's out of the question.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. It's my assistant secretary told you. You're deaf with some of the people who do proxies. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Take this time.
Okay.
There's gonna be one more percent of the line in a second.
Oh, right, we signed Senator Lyons by the other bill.
Yeah,
You want
but
me back?
this one that we're doing, she's gonna
Do you
do.
want me back?
Well,
We got one
we're
more.
gonna sign it. No, I think this is the one we did assign. Do you think she's also gonna get this one?
Yeah, it's her bill.
Wait,
We'll debate about it.
if she's not voting, it's tough to report.
Yeah, she voted on the other one.
What am I doing? I watch videos, you know.
Okay,
Okay, so this is, these are the license fees that the finance amendment is changing. So they would not go from 110 to 1,000 for a tobacco retailer license and 50 to 1,000 for tobacco substitute endorsement. The finance proposal would have these change from 110 to 150 and $50 to $75.
okay, so just slight increase. Can you explain how they were a combined license, but not really a combined license?
Not clearly, no. I can tell you that the statutes require provisions to be incorporated into liquor license forms and the issuance of a liquors-tobacco license.
But it's not really one license, like you needed two licenses if you're selling both products.
I would defer to the department or somebody else to explain how it works in reality.
Yeah, well, they tried to explain it to me and it was kind of confusing. But,
I don't know if they're.
well, they are, yeah. Do you want to explain that again?
Sure, I can try. Hannah Jovan, Department of Liquor and Lottery. So there is no joint hyphenate liquor tobacco license. That's a quirk of Title VII. Thank you for cleaning it up. Statute directs the department to assess a fee. Let me back up. There is a tobacco license and there is a variety of different liquor licenses. When an applicant has a liquor license, either a case for a liquor license or an existing liquor license, and they apply for a tobacco license, the department is not directed by statute to assess the fee for that tobacco license, meaning that the majority of our liquor licensees that hold, sorry, the majority of the tobacco licensees also hold a liquor license, and so they are not currently under statute assessed $110.
Because they already paid the alcohol.
They pay the liquor license fee. Those that have a tobacco substitute endorsement, so to sell vapes, are always assessed the $50 fee regardless of their liquor license status.
Because Babe says that's a special fee.
Separate endorsement, correct.
Okay.
So, and so we may want to spend a little time perhaps in the House looking at whether there are additional cleanup changes that should be made in this section, but we can, I think some of it still talks about liquor in a way that maybe isn't helpful in this chapter.
Okay.
But all right, let me put this back up on the screen. So this section also increases the penalty for selling tobacco products, tobacco substitutes, and tobacco paraphernalia without a license. Changes some of the terminology to civil penalty, and it increases from not more than $200 to not more than $2,000 for a first offense, and not more than $500 to $5,000 for each subsequent offense. And then there's some additional, in some cases, sort of clarifying or tightening up language. Section 1002B is where the licensed wholesaler language is added in Title VII. So again, it's coming out of Title 32 and moving into Title VII because authority is shifting from Department of Taxes to the Department of Liquor and Lottery. So these are just the provisions from the Title 32 language with a couple of either conforming updates or modernizing language involved. It does also increase the penalties for selling, offering for sale, or possessing with intent to sell without a license, and increases these to match the amounts in the retailer selling without a retail license statute. So we just did that.
The fines, what, those are deposited where?
I believe I'm gonna look at, because I don't remember where the fines for selling without a retailer or wholesaler license go. Yes, if I may. Okay.
So Todd Delos, Assistant Attorney General, I believe currently they go into the liquor fund for DLL, but I'm bouncing over to JFO.
Yes, now I maybe should have asked Ted and, okay.
This is not my area of expertise. We don't, JFO specifically doesn't forecast their penalties, but yes, I know some penalties
where
go
they
to the Judicial
go?
Bureau and, yeah, we've heard of it.
Yeah, these are not, I don't believe these are through the Judicial Bureau,
Yeah.
but I think,
I'm confirming.
okay, great, we're getting that answered. We got a team effort going here.
Yeah,
Sandy,
yeah.
an answer. Thank you. Okay, so we'll get back to you on that. And then the finance amendment makes some other changes in that piece that we will look at. Section 1005 is striking the current prohibition, existing prohibition on persons under 21 years of age purchasing, possessing, or attempting to purchase tobacco products, tobacco substitutes, or tobacco paraphernalia, and eliminating the $25 penalty in addition to confiscation.
It limits the penalty, or
It eliminates the
Prohibition.
explicit prohibition, and so the statute would be silent, although you still could not sell. There's penalties for selling to minors, but this would be taking off the penalties for and the prohibition for minors in possession. There is discussion in the Senate Economic Development Committee about perhaps an amendment to restore this provision to continue to have a penalty on a minor who misrepresents their age by presenting fake ID to purchase these products.
And then the same question for these fees, is the same answer, unknown till we
These
get
are,
confirmation?
yes, these are assessed in the manner of a traffic violation, so they go through the Judicial Bureau. I don't know where they go after they are paid to the Judicial Bureau.
Okay. So maybe this is those covered in your fiscal note, Ted? the lack of those penalty fees, which I'm sure there's not very many of them.
So we don't, yes, Temperate North Fiscal Office, JFO doesn't forecast fines, penalties. That unfortunately, this is a bit of a black box because we like to assume that, you know, we're not gonna try and forecast bad behavior. But I can do more research into the different bins where things are going. Cause I know it's of interest.
Okay.
All right, and then in section 1007, this increases the penalties for selling or furnishing tobacco products, tobacco substitutes, or tobacco paraphernalia to a person under 21 years of age. It goes from a civil penalty of not more than $100 to not more than $1,000 for a first offense. And then under existing law, it's not more than $500 for any subsequent offense. There's a bigger list coming up on the next page around penalty and license suspension or revocation. So under this bill, the minimum license suspensions and penalties would be for second violation, suspension for 2 consecutive weekdays and $1,000 civil penalty. Third violation, suspension for 15 consecutive days and a $2,000 civil penalty. Fourth violation, 90-day suspension and a $3,500 civil penalty. And for a fifth violation, revocation of the license and a $5,000 civil penalty. Section 1009 is around contraband and seizure. It explicitly adds the tobacco substitutes that have been sold, offered for sale, or possessed in violation of, and adds some additional prohibition sections. Those are all deemed contraband, subject to seizure. And then in the bill, the products must be, or items must be destroyed at the expense of the violator and in compliance with the Agency of Natural Resources rules on hazardous waste management. The penalty is explicitly per item in the bill. Section 1010 is on internet sales. There is a prohibition on causing all kinds of tobacco products, tobacco substitutes, and tobacco paraphernalia to be ordered or purchased by mail or through computer, telephone, or other electronic network to be shipped to anyone other than a licensed dealer in this state. This would make that only to a licensed wholesale dealer and strike the provision for direct sale to retail dealers. It would also add some conforming language. Section 1013 is a new provision prohibiting anyone from marketing, promoting, labeling, branding, advertising, distributing, offering for sale, or selling a tobacco product or tobacco substitute by imitating a product that is not a tobacco product or tobacco substitute, including several types of things commonly marketed to minors or appealing to minors, foods and brands of foods, school supplies, portable devices, including smartphones, smartwatches, video games, consoles, and inhalers. And a product based on or depicting a character, personality, or symbol known to appeal to minors, including a celebrity, comic book characters, and others. Also prohibits marketing, promoting, advertising, selling a product by concealing the nature of the tobacco product or tobacco substitute, or by using terms for describing or depicting product that is described in that list of examples of things that conceal the nature. 1014, this would, I believe, come in this amendment. Somebody's amendment has this coming out. Sorry. So there currently in the bill, the use of all funds from licensing fees, penalties, and settlements based on violations of the tobacco laws and all the revenue from licensing fees would go into the tobacco trust fund and be used for tobacco cessation and prevention activities. And that language is struck in. Was that the finance amendment, or is that what I'm working on for this committee? I do what I'm working on for this committee. Yes, okay. After conversations with Joint Fiscal Office and I think some potentially unintended consequences of that language. Sections 2 and 3 are kind of conforming changes, recognizing that deposit of all of these funds into the tobacco trust fund. So the amendment I'm working on would strike these sections in order to keep the money going where it goes now. Section 4 is around confidentiality of tax records and allowing the Commissioner of Taxes to provide tax return and return information to the Department of Liquor and Lottery if it's needed to investigate or potential violations and enforce the tobacco laws. The next several sections are in the tobacco tax statutes. Section 5 makes some changes to definitions in the tobacco tax statutes, largely for conforming purposes, either with other laws or with the change from Department of Taxes licensing the wholesalers to the Department of Liquor and Lottery licensing the wholesalers. We've also had some additional language in both the chapter in Title 7 and in this definition about the different ways that people may be consuming nicotine and tobacco products as products emerge. Sections 6 and 7 are really conforming changes reflecting that transfer of the wholesaler licensure to Department of Liquor and Lottery. Section 8 redesignates the one remaining section in the tobacco tax chapter on licensed wholesalers that deals with bonding. I've moved that to an existing subchapter because we're getting rid of the rest of the subchapter on licensure, and that's what Section 9 is repealing the tax department licensure of wholesale dealers, again, because it is now in Title 7 for liquor and lottery. Section 10 creates an investigator position with an appropriations. This will be of particular interest to this committee. This creates a new permanent classified investigator position in the Department of Liquor and Lottery to enforce and investigate potential violations of Vermont laws relating to online sales and other direct-to-consumer sales and delivery of alcohol and tobacco products. It gives some certain statutes in particular. It would appropriate $160,000 to the Department of Liquor and Lottery from the Tobacco Litigation Settlement Fund in fiscal year 2027 to fund the position, and expresses legislative intent that the position be funded from the Tobacco Litigation Settlement Fund for fiscal years 2027 and 2028, and that beginning in 2029, the funding would be built into the base funding for Department of Liquor and Lottery's budget, with the amount of the salary and benefits offset by an equivalent amount of revenue generated to the department or the Office of the Attorney General, or both, by the investigators' activities. So basically, the assumption that penalty monies would support the position beginning in fiscal year 2029. And then saying if the revenue generated by the investigators' activities becomes insufficient to cover the cost of the position, then the Department of Liquor and Lottery must propose eliminating the position as part of its next budget or budget adjustment presentation. Would have an update to various committees by March 15th of 2027 from the Department of Liquor and Lottery on the status of its implementation of the new investigator position, and an annual report on the impact of the investigators' activities on compliance with the direct-to-consumer sales and delivery of alcohol and tobacco product laws. Section 11 directs the Department of Taxes in collaboration with others to look at ways to impose taxes on tobacco substitutes based on the concentration of nicotine they contain. This is something the bill, as introduced, was going to try to do, but the stamping of those products did not seem necessarily viable at the time people were testifying on the bill. So it would have them look at ways to impose the taxes based on nicotine concentration and evaluate the continued use of tax stamps. Does it make sense to keep using tax stamps as evidence of payment of the excise tax on cigarettes, little cigars, and roll your own tobacco in the state, and the pros and cons of taking a different approach to certifying tax compliance. It requires the Department of Taxes to provide its findings and recommendations by January 15th, 2027 for taxing tobacco substitutes based on nicotine concentration and on the continued use of tax stamps. Finally, the act would take effect on July 1st, 2026, except the transfer of authority over wholesale dealer licensure would take effect on July 1st, 2027, with the related provisions all taking effect on that date, and clarifying that the first of the annual reports on the impact of the investigator position would be due by December 15th of 2027. And then it changes the name of the bill because there's no longer actual taxation happening in the bill. And then if you want to see the finance amendment, I can show you.
You already told us.
Much
Change
shorter.
those fees.
There's the fee, yeah, changes the fees. It has, it requires, a license fee for the wholesale dealers, that matches the license fee for the wholesaler liquor dealers.
And the fiscal note we has those lower fees. And have you done the amendment or you're working?
I think I have, let me check and see where I am with that one. I think I have what we had talked about, but I know there has been some, also discussion about the investigator position.
Senator Watson, when do you need one?
2:15.
Okay.
So yes, I have, somewhere in here.
We could ask Ted to talk to us a little bit about the fiscal note as it relates to the costs that we might be including in the amendment.
Do you want to see what I have for the amendment, or you want to hear from Ted first and then talk amendment?
Maybe see the amendment and reference that in the fiscal note.
So the draft that I have, that I started working on yesterday in anticipation, would strike out section 1014, that new section 1014 in, Title 7, Chapter 40. That was the use of funds from licensing fees, penalties, and settlements, and directing all of those into the Tobacco Trust Fund. This would strike that section from the bill and also strike out those kind of related sections 2 and 3. So it would keep the money from licensing fees and penalties and settlements going where they currently go rather than.
But we don't know where they go.
That's what
we're keeping it where.
Keeping it wherever it is that it currently.
Because the effort in the bill was to move it so it could fund the position, basically.
Right. Well, the effort in the bill was to move it so that it was all directed to prevention, cessation and prevention.
And they have to.
And then,
Fund.
so different funds, both with the word tobacco in them. So the Tobacco Trust Fund is where these penalties and fees and settlement monies were going. The Tobacco Litigation Settlement Fund is where the money was, in the bill is coming from for the investigator position. 2 different tobacco related funds.
What section is that?
That was section 10. I think of the bill.
So we probably want to include that in the.
I think that is a question for the committee and there's, different stakeholders have different, goals around the investigator position, so.
Okay, well, I think, can you prepare a version of it that does strike that?
Sure.
Thank you.
And you would strike the whole section, is that right, on the investigator? It would still cost $160,000 wherever it came from?
Yeah.
Okay. Just there.
And Mr. Barnett, do you want to talk to us about the impacts on appropriations, how in your fiscal note?
Sure. Switch yours.
Ted Burnett, Joint Fiscal Office. Yes, I will talk about the 2 pieces that would be most of interest to you all is allocation of revenues from penalties, settlement arrangements, and licensing fees to the Tobacco Trust Fund. For context on the Tobacco Trust Fund.
That's section 2 and 3.
Section 2 and 3, exactly, is a fund that is at the State Treasurer's Office. It is a trust fund and it is wholly allocated to cessation and prevention activities. We'll note that that fund does not have a dedicated revenue source. And so the amount of money in the fund, when I looked at the end of fiscal 25, was about $28,000. And so the only revenue it was getting was from interest income on the fund. And so this would have added, the licensing fees, any settlement monies, and penalties amounts, given that penalties and settlements are going to various corners of state government. That is a decision for y'all, but it absolutely has potential impacts on the liquor control.
But you did, even though you say you don't forecast fines, you did have an approximation?
That is only looking at the licensing revenues that would be deposited in the trust fund.
Okay.
So yes, that is kind of the floor of an estimate, and yeah, any penalties or settlement amounts would be above that. And yes, currently any fee or licensing revenue would go to the, under current law, outside of what is proposed in 198, those would go to the Liquor Control Enterprise Fund, right, which the amounts that's in the enterprise fund above what they need to, for enforcement, go to the general fund or frequently pulled into the budget. So, that is, right, so making that change means that those revenues wouldn't be available, in that fund. The second piece is the investigator position. The tobacco litigation settlement fund, taking a look at it, I don't have the exact, I can pull up the operating statement, but in those 2 fiscal years, in fiscal year 27 and 28, where it is imagined in those 2 fiscal years that the settlement fund would support that position. The fund balances in fiscal year 27, off the top of my head, is in the $5 million range, and then in fiscal year 28, this is before the cost of the position are added, the fund balance would be like $260,000. So there's money in the settlement fund theoretically to fund the position. Now, whether the position itself would be self-sustaining in fiscal year 29, when it's envisioned that the enforcement activities of that position would generate enough in penalty revenue to support it, impossible for us to say. And so, yes, it would be creation of a new position that in fiscal year 29 would be part of DLL's budget request, and funded through offsetting revenues. Yeah, so it's a decision for y'all whether you want to create that position. But yes, there is, within the settlement fund, there's theoretically enough revenue to carry it in those 2 years.
Okay. Thank you. Can I ask the Assistant Attorney General a question? So is this a proposal came from the AG's office?
Yes.
And are you funding other positions out of the litigation fund? Like directly like this?
We fund a number of different positions, portions of a number of different positions in our office from the litigation fund.
Like you bill towards it?
Yes.
But this would be different?
So the exact, I have to be candid, I'm not certain where this financial language came from in this bill. We were not pushing to shift where the money moved to or from, in terms of the licensing fees, et cetera.
But this position says it's funded from
the
litigation fund, but do you mean like it would, just like the full salary would be taking out of it?
That's my understanding of what the language says. That is not a proposal. We put forward the proposal to create the position. Our view was with a modest increase in licensure costs, you could fund the position to provide greater enforcement.
And your proposal wasn't to take it from the litigation fund?
No.
Okay. And do you support taking it from the litigation fund?
I would be interested in understanding, because the litigation fund, as I understand it, and I would defer to Ted on this, gets the master settlement agreement funds, which are roughly $25 million a year, put into it. So I'm interested in sort of what the fund balance looks like year over year because of that. Our draw on it, and I want to be a little careful on being quoted on this, but I'm saying it on the record to the Appropriations Committee, is roughly $250,000 for our office, and that includes, miscellaneous operations plus the individuals who work on it.
Okay. What were you going to say, Ted?
The language around the creation of the investigator position is very, very similar to a proposal that was put forward in the flavor tobacco ban of a couple years ago. There was a proposal that came out of the House. It was a floor amendment, I believe, when that bill was moving a couple years ago. And so that was the construct imagined in that proposal. And as I understand, folks, it's basically the same with different fiscal years.
And Amy left it, but maybe or Todd, does the litigation fund, do we ever direct that to the general fund from that when it gets, we do when it gets big enough?
That's my understanding.
Yes.
In reverse.
Yeah. Or we reverted to it, or just, okay.
It is important to note that it's key that the investigator position is funded out of the settlement fund in fiscal years 27 and 28. Starting in fiscal year 29, you have a structural problem, right? So the operating statement, the actuals of FY25, the ending cash balance is 13.5 million, and then the projected for fiscal year 26 is 8.5 million.
I think there'd be enough money in there,
Yeah.
but it's just an appropriation that we normally want to make in the budget, not in sales. So we would want that in the amendment. And then the fees moving around, I don't know how much we care where they go. I mean, I guess they're sending them to the tobacco trust fund to use for cessation, but now they're being sent somewhere where I assume they're using for administration. Or like,
Currently, licensing fees go to the liquor control fund, which then is sent to the general fund.
right, although some of it used for your budget.
Correct.
So it could be that there's less swept, or, well, there'll be less swept if it's going there. So it's less money to the general fund, so we'd want to include it in it. Okay, any questions for Ted? Yes.
Yeah, I got a couple. I apologize if I just stepped out here. So first question is, so am I to understand, I don't know who wants to answer this, that the fee increases are going up to these retailers and whatever else for what reason? To support a position at why are the fees going up?
I will not speak to other, yeah, I think you should ask colleagues in Senate Economic Development and Senate Finance who had a fulsome discussion about how much the fees should be. I think, yes, there was, yeah, and I know other folks are part of this conversation, so yeah, I would defer to them to speak to why necessarily there were fee increases.
Because these are small retailers and whoever else, I mean, they're struggling enough as it is.
So if I may, the original goal was to have this fund an investigator position, and I recognize it's more of a policy committee, so cut me off anytime. The goal behind investigator positions is to increase enforcement in online sales, because those online sales impact retailers directly, because they're purchasing, one, they're unlawful if they're going direct to consumer. If they don't go through wholesalers, they're not getting taxed, and so there's not any revenue coming in from that. And three, they are an avenue for youth to get product when they're underage. So the goal was to create an investigative position to cut back on that particular area of the marketplace and increase enforcement there. And the retailers who pay these license fees, as we understand it, some of them, and I won't speak to what the retailer's position might be, but we have heard anecdotally the desire is to have more enforcement online so that retailers are not getting impacted by this. Ultimately, as I understood the conversation next door across the hall in finance, we were pushing for a pretty significant fee increase. What I heard finance say is let's have it close to an inflationary adjustment. The fee was last increased in 2015 or 16. It's been about 10 years. At a rate of inflation, it's roughly $150, $50 or $40 more than it was. Same with the endorsement, $25 more was roughly the rate of inflation. So that's why they landed where they did on that fee increase, as I understood it.
So question 2A then B, Jen, I don't know, I missed it. So the only things that are going up is fees, licensing and whatever else. Is taxation on tobacco products going up also?
Taxation is not going up in this bill. Penalties are going up, certain licensing fees are going up. That's all that's going up.
Okay, and to end it with, I don't know who was in finance or whatever else, did the retailers give testimony on this bill? And
Maggie Lenz, on behalf of the Vermont Retail Growth Services Planning. We gave testimony in Senate Economic Development opposing increased fees for the reasons that you said. The tricky environment right now, that was when we were looking at fees going up to $1,000 a piece. We have not given testimony since. We very much appreciate the reduction. I'm not going to say that we prefer that to no increase. Obviously, we prefer no increase in fees, but this is a version that we could live with versus the 1,000.
okay, it doesn't quite push me to the point where I want to be, but I mean, I thank you for that, yes.
Yeah,
I'm just a little confused by that. The fee, registration or licensing fee went up how much?
And so the initial proposal was to take it from $110 for tobacco and then $50 for the endorsement, and to put each one up to $1,000. That was the initial proposal.
That was the
Senate
initial.
Economic Development.
That's not what we
That's
ended
not
up
what
with.
came out of Senate Finance. So we appreciated the reduction. We're always going to say we prefer not to have an increase in fees for our retailers. However, when we were facing $1,000 and $1,000, we were appreciative of the reduction in the increase.
Did you weigh in on the penalties?
No, we do not.
No?
or on the reduction of the, or the elimination of the, because you didn't, did you have a position on elimination on the possession charges?
No, we were strictly in there to speak about the increase. I don't have a position on that.
I don't know.
I vote out of harmony.
Oh, no, I think it was 411.
It is 521. 521. I have it.
I don't think it's a value.
7.
Yeah, total.
Yeah, and Senator Hardy wasn't there. I think it's 4-1. I think only Senator Mathis voted against it. Because Senator Hardy voted for it.
412.
Give us a minute.
412, I'm good. 412.
That's the right now.
The website says the Senate Committee on Finance report is 511.
511.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for either Jen or Ted on this?
Well, one more. Did anybody weigh in on the substantial increase in fines? Penalties?
There was a lot of discussion, so Todd Day was looking from the AG's office, there was a lot of discussion on the fee increases. There was some passing discussion on fines, but I think I want to say DLL spoke about it a little, but I'm looking at the DLL representative.
Tina Chauvin, DLL, department would oppose increased penalties on the clerks. Which is how this is structured.
This is structured toward the clerk, not the owner?
Yeah, there's a number of changes in penalties. The temporary that we submitted to economic development.
And finance.
We didn't say penalties.
I don't know that it specifically distinguishes between the clerk and the owner of the system.
And how much are the increases on the clerks again?
Well,
Sorry?
Councilor Kirby said it's not specifically on the clerk, it's just on the entity.
That has been our proposal in the past, and other bills I've drafted, but it's not, was not in this.
Said what's the increase to the penalty, Senator Weston asked?
Yes, sorry. It's, so are you talking about sales to underage or sales without a license?
I'm talking about sales to underage at a convenience store, grocery store, whatever.
So, it goes from $100 to $1,000 for a first offense. And then the current law is not more than $500 for a subsequent offense with certain license suspensions. And this adds financial penalties between $1,000 for a second violation and $5,000 for a fifth violation, and escalating license suspension.
And one more, that 100 to 1,000 is on the clerk?
It's a person that sells or furnishes. The person is defined in Title I, applying to the whole Vermont statutes annotated as an individual or an entity, corporation, partnership, et cetera. So it's sort of a someone that sells, and whether that is imposed by I believe it's assessed to the establishment, not the individual clerk. And so when it is assessed to the establishment, they determine how it is paid.
Yep, thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have that amendment that you could bring
Yes,
up on the screen?
I have the editor, but I'm happy to show it to you
Okay.
in its current form.
we will need to vote on it as a draft.
Here, yeah, I guess so.
Okay, so village council's drafting an amendment that will strike the appropriations, the position, and sections that divert the money away from where it would have an impact on the general fund.
So here is the amendment. So this is the amendment. It has this committee recommending that the economic development report as amended by finance be further amended. First, in 7 VSA Chapter 40, by striking out Section 1014, the use of funds from licensing fees, penalties, and settlements in its entirety, and striking out Sections 2 and 3 that relate to that direction of those funds into the Tobacco Trust Fund and putting deleted in. Then we have striking out Section 10, the investigator position in its entirety, and putting in again deleted. And then in the effective dates, by the last item on the list was when the first report on the investigator position was due. So I'm striking that out and making the conforming changes needed earlier, so that it's 2 and 3, not 3 and 4.
In the fiscal note, it says sections 1 and 3 proposed to direct revenues and penalties. But not really the right section.
Yes, but Section 2 was doing a conforming carve out from the AG special complex litigation special fund, and saying except settlements that relate to violations of the tobacco laws go into the Tobacco Trust Fund.
Okay, so we are, the first section, we are striking that.
The first section, you're striking out 1014, that's saying settlement monies, penalties, fees go into the Tobacco Trust Fund. Section 2, we're no longer carving out the tobacco settlements that would otherwise go into the complex litigation special fund. And Section 3, we're no longer saying the Tobacco Trust Fund comprises monies from those settlements, penalties, and fees.
Okay. Any questions about this amendment? Without any further questions about the bill or the amendment, I will entertain a motion to pass the bill with this amendment.
I think we better vote on the amendment separate from the bill.
Okay.
Okay. And there were no edits, so we're good to go.
Okay.
I'll move the amendment, but not the bill.
Okay.
So we might wanna just see where people are before we vote, because
Right, I think it's 3.
given who we have in the room, so.
Yeah. Do you want to do a straw vote on the bill?
Well, what we do in judiciary is we talk about how we might vote.
Okay.
I would be happy to vote for this pulling out the appropriations, but not sure how others feel.
I will vote for the amendment taking out the appropriations. The fine increases for the clerks working made this something that.
But it's not the clerks.
Well,
It doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
To me, I'm sorry, I'm speaking for you, but I mean, yeah, I'm speaking for myself here.
So you wouldn't vote for the bill?
I wouldn't,
Out of committee. To get it out of committee.
no. I'd vote for the amendment to take the appropriations out if we're doing 2 votes.
Right, but if the second vote doesn't have the votes, doesn't really matter if we amend it or not.
That is true.
So it depends on who
ignores.
I'm a no.
I'm
I'd
moving
vote
it
for the
to-
appropriation amendment, but I'm not gonna support the bill.
So we're in an unusual position then, because it needs to leave the committee today. We don't have Senator Lyons or Senator Watson. So I can see two ways to proceed. One is that we cajole one of the no votes into getting it to the floor where you could then vote no. If we can't do that, then it's gonna have to miss crossover and get an exemption or by the Rules Committee.
Okay, so we'll vote either today or we'll vote on, if the bill's not gonna pass, we'll vote till Tuesday to vote it out. And then it'll have to get a rules expression, or we could.
So I guess the question would be, would any of the three of you be willing to vote yes on the bill to get it to the floor with the understanding that you would then vote no?
Or we could send the bill out without recommendation.
Sure. It would take a yes vote from one of the three of you.
I would do that.
Yes with no recommendation.
Yes with no recommendation.
Okay. In that case, I would move the amendment, and move it favorably.
Well, no, you're good. So the bill would be moved without recommendation, not favorably.
With the amendment, right?
I'm just moving the amendment right now, and then I'll make another motion.
We can,
I think we could do it as one.
Okay.
With this understanding, the motion will be to amend the bill with this amendment, and then move the bill without recommendation. So that was the motion made by, you did? You already have?
I've got one.
He made,
Okay.
well, first one, let's vote on the amendment, and then.
Do you want to have two votes?
He's saying have
I'm
one.
saying we'd only need one motion. That's amending the bill and voting to
No.
move the bill
No recommendation.
with no recommendation.
Fine.
Clear?
Not
Okay.
totally.
Well, we want the clerk to be clear. That's,
Well, I know how to write it down.
Yeah, but.
But if you vote, if one of us were to vote, say one of us were to vote yes, how does that work? We're voting yes?
we're voting yes to move the bill without
think-
recommendation
So
and amending.
If
as amended.
it was two motions, we'd be unanimous on the amendment.
Right.
They don't want the bill to leave here. I would vote, with, the bill without recommendation.
Because the bill will leave here one way or the other. It's just,
Yeah.
do we have a bunch of rigmarole with the Rules Committee to?
So the vote on the amendment looks like it'd be 5-0, then on the bill would be 3-2, but I'm just saying, let's vote on the
So you're
bill
willing to just go on the
with the
bill
amendment.
with the amendment in it?
So we're voting on the
Okay.
bill as amended, but with a no recommendation to the floor.
And then it's just the distinction is how you make the report, and what appears in the journal.
It'll say no recommendation.
Yeah.
Committee on Appropriations, recommend no recommendation, as amended by finance,
Yeah.
as amended.
Although we could report that it was 5 members of the committee and a straw poll indicated that there would have been majority support. But anyway, it won't matter, I don't think.
Okay. I think we all understand what we're voting on here, so, Senator Baruch.
Yes.
Senator Brennan, no. Senator Lyons, Senator Norse.
No.
Senator Watson, Senator Westman,
Yes.
Senator Perchlow.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm willing to report it.
2, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
I will explain all.
Do you need to explain on this what we just did? Because I didn't write anything down other than the vote.
Trust me.
I didn't
never
write your
forget.
name.
Well, I would cross out favorably, because that's how it's, the default is favorably, so cross out favorably and put without recommendation.
I just, to be clear, on the floor, I will be.
Okay?
Things are always clear coming out of this committee.
Also here. Oh, maybe not.
Under other there.
Okay.
You're supposed to write.
Okay.
That's twice in one session.
No recommendation?
Exactly.
You can also wait
Yeah.
for Melissa.
Yeah,
Wow,
no
yeah.
recommendation. Without recommendation. Okay, with that, we succeeded.
Yeah.
Oh, we got 214 that we got today.
What is 214?
214 is another bill.
Yeah, well,
What does it do?
I need to go home.
I know, well,
I need to go home.
214, we were sent today, and now I'm forgetting them.
Act relating to the provision of pre-kindergarten
Oh,
education
yeah.
in geographically isolated school districts.
I think there's, are you here for that, Katie?
I'm filling in for Beth, so I can give you a very high level overview, but not much more. But you have Ezra who can answer all of the
Okay.
fiscal questions.
And my understanding is, you probably heard about the bill, but you can explain it, that it allows families in the Northeast Kingdom to send their preschoolers to the school in New Hampshire.
Is this Canaan?
There's like 14 of them.
Yeah, there's not very many students who it would impact, and
Does it say anybody, or does it name the towns that are allowed?
it says anyone in the district, and it specifies that it has to be in a school within 25 miles of the Vermont border.
So there's only one Vermont district that it's applied to?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I think the fiscal impacts was like $30,000.
For the record, as Holden, Joint Fiscal Office. I'm estimating up to $60,000 being the fiscal impact in fiscal year 2028. That's assuming that 14 students gain access in the NEK Choice School District to go across the border to New Hampshire. However, just like to remind everyone that pre-K or universal pre-K, the parent has to opt into that and they have to find a spot for their child. So if only 7 parents, guardians choose to do this, then the impact would not be the full 60,000. And that's based on the universal pre-K tuition rate, inflated forward from fiscal year 27 to 28 by 3%.
But the parents could start using this in 27, or the fiscal year 27?
So they can, however, since the NEK Choice has already voted out their school budget, they would have to absorb that in their existing budget. And then when they start preparing their budget for fiscal year 28 and onward, that's when you would see perhaps an increase in the budget because of these students. And since that would be impacting the education fund, is de minimis, but also all else equal, as you are spending more in your education fund, you need to lower your property yield and or increase your homestead property tax rate to cover that.
$60,000, but that's pretty de minimis of the 2 point whatever billion. And a school could open up. Right now, the main reason for this is because there wasn't a preschool in the choice district. Is that right? Or not enough preschool?
So what I understand is that there are certain towns in the NEK choice districts, and this would probably be better answered by someone from the district, but they are in towns that are too far away. There are pre-K kids currently in that district who are receiving services in Vermont. This would just allow folks right on the New Hampshire border to find a public New Hampshire program. Okay. And if they would like.
Is this just the district that's Canaan?
This would only apply to the Northeast Kingdom school, choice school district.
Do you know what towns are in that district?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Well, Canaan and West Stewartstown share a high school, and the bridge is like the bridge out here. You can hardly tell that you went from one state to the other.
Right. Yeah, it's probably those towns. And my understanding,
is that Guildhall?
Talking to others.
No, that's Canaan up in the corner, and Canaan, the Northlands here.
Well, we already did.
Can't do it. So here's my suggestion, sorry.
Okay.
It has to be adverse, favorable, or no recommendation. If you do it as adverse or no recommendation, by making the recommendation, you're saying they should pass with these changes. So my recommendation is you do it with no recommendation, and whoever it wants to be, we'll put it on the calendar by individual sponsors from this committee.
Isn't that what we did, no recommendation?
We did no recommendation.
I was told you guys had an amendment.
On the amendment was, yeah.
You can't have an amendment.
The amendment was unanimous.
You can't do an
We didn't
amendment
vote
unless
on
you
the
have a
amendment.
unless you're favorable.
You can't do a no recommendation on the bill as
So we
amended.
should have split them, like you said.
Could we do
No,
two?
but even if we split them, it would, somebody, if we had passed the amendment's part of the bill, we couldn't then do no recommendation on the bill, we amended.
Correct.
But we could if we didn't amend it?
So you can, if you,
Because in that case,
here's a bill.
We could on the floor.
Yes. Here's a bill. You think it's a piece of crud, adverse. You have no recommendation, you're washing your hands. You do an amendment, you're saying, we're gonna tell you how to make it better, and then we support it. And to do an amendment, you've gotta kind of say that you're voting favorable after.
okay, then let's vote it out without recommendation and then amend on the floor.
You can, that,
Right.
and you can have all 5 of you, 7 of you, 2 of you, whoever.
I mean, at that point, we'll have
I think that all of us
Four
agree to the amendment.
We can't vote on the amendment.
no, what I'm saying is, can you vote on the, as you did?
I'll vote no recommendation on the bill.
Yeah,
Yes.
And then somebody, you can give me an amendment, whatever it is. One of you sign it as the lead sponsor,
For the
and I'll
floor.
carry all of you on the calendar as being the sponsors.
Yeah, okay. So this.
I can do that.
Okay, so what I'm doing here, we already have the vote with no recommendation, and I'm doing a vote on the amendment?
I don't care about the amendment, the committee's not gonna take.
No, we have to sign on to the amendment.
The vote, but you wouldn't want to vote for we have to re-vote, because you would change your vote.
so,
No, you have to keep your vote, because otherwise the bill won't pass.
He said he's gonna vote no on the floor, but he'll
Right.
vote it to go
Yeah,
for recommendation.
let's scratch that other vote,
Yeah.
and we'll just vote the bill,
No recommendation.
no recommendation, that's 3-2.
Okay, so
And then we'll worry about the amendment
The amendment,
once we get to the floor.
you can offer it by yourself.
yeah, so we
I
don't need
think
to.
all of us would agree to the
Huh?
amendment.
We don't need to.
I didn't think so.
We don't need to.
Should have listened to the vote. Okay,
And I need your signature on what you thought was the report, so I can put it in the calendar for notice on Tuesday.
well, it'll be a different, it won't be, what I thought was the report was gonna be the amendment, but it won't be that.
It'll just be
As passed by finance.
You're gonna basically stand up, whoever the reporter is, stand up and say, we took testimony, we have no recommendation on a 3-2 vote, and you can sit down.
So we just
But you
signed.
could also explain why we had no
Yeah,
recommendation, which is, we had 2 members of the committee favoring it, who were absent on crossover.
Are you voting for them and with them?
But we don't know how they favor.
Yeah, we don't know, they might not.
That's a
You're
little
just
guessing.
when you say we need, so what would we sign, just the finance report?
I want you to sign what you were gonna do as an amendment with your name individually, because you're the sponsor on the calendar.
Oh, so I'm already giving you the amendment.
It's gonna be on for Tuesday on the notice.
No, I just need the amendment.
Oh, you want me to print the amendment?
No.
You got it?
Yeah, I think
Did
so.
they already take it? The one that already sent it?
Yeah.
You're talking about 198, and you're talking about the amendment that Jen just wrote? I just printed
Yes.
that.
Oh, we haven't printed yet. Yeah,
You
that's
want me
right.
to put it under your name
Yes,
now?
right. So that's because it's changed.
If you just want to print it, we'll take it and we'll scratch it, if you got something already.
Okay.
Whatever works for you.
Exciting.
You're playing too many video games on the floor.
Okay, so we can use the other one.
You know, we sit here, we can't do anything, and you're playing video games while we're
He
doing.
played video games?
Oh,
No,
yes. Yes, he is. You see him on that computer all the time.
there's video games and TV cameras picking up.
Okay, well, why
I
we're,
wonder who sent me, an envelope for hand.
It was a page right in front of it.
I'm sure it was.
so why,
Was he done? Were we done with that?
well, I
We're
think we're
not
done.
voting.
Well, we don't have to re-vote, for the.
No, this is 214.
So
But the amendment I will make, and Councilor Carby is just rewriting it to come from me. You guys can,
And then the report on the 3-2, who's the reporter of that? Can I have a report, can you just sign something, say 3-2, and I'll bring it upstairs and we'll work a little switch for you?
well, won't we put that on the amendment? No.
Did you
not
want the
in-
ROA?
I'll just take the ROA with the signature on it, and you can put one off. That'll work, I just need something in writing. Thank you, sorry to interrupt. Okay, let's
Oh,
move
yeah.
to 14.
Keep us-
moving.
I move
legal.
214 favorably.
Okay.
Clerk, get
Thank you.
busy.
So don't take directions from the ranking member when the chair is present.
I'm just a little rant.
So we have a motion from Senator Westman to move 214 favorably.
Yes. Senator Brew,
Yes.
Senator Brennan, yes. Senator Lyons, Senator Norris,
Yes.
Senator Watson, Senator Westman.
Yep.
Senator Perchlik.
Yes.
Can we leave now?
That was nice.
With no further